Thank you so much, Marco. It's a pleasure to be here. Yes, Marco and I have known each other for a very long time. And to those of you who are wondering about my background, just a very quick background. I came to Canada in 1998. In 2003, I started working on the Canadian Immigrant magazine, built up the magazine and sold the magazine in 2007 to the Toronto Star, launched the top 25 Canadian Immigrant Awards, grew that to a national award across the country. They also launched a company called Prepare for Canada, which is the #1 company, even now, on pre-arrival information for visa-holding immigrants overseas. In addition to this, I've been working with the federal government as an advisor in various capacities, including a report that I did for the Minister of ESDC, and I'll reference some of these things as we go along. Feel free to ask questions. This all got sparked off by one of Marco's conversations, and I jumped in, and then of course it got into this long conversation. And it's important that we have these conversations. Every one of you is interested and committed to helping newcomers succeed in this country. And I think what we need to do is we need to always keep the eye on the outcome. We do a lot of things, and we need to be mindful of what are the things that work and what are the things that perhaps don't work as well. So, who funds the funder? This is a question that I ask because everyone talks about the funding that the government does. But remember one thing, the government's funding comes from the right of landing fee of $490, which is collected per resident. So that means 1.96, almost $2 billion is collected. And remember that the primary applicant, specifically in the federal skilled worker, who's going to be the revenue generator for the country and for himself, is roughly 100,000. The rest of that includes, children, grandparents. It includes spouses. Some may be working, some may not be working. So this is where the money comes from. And we do know roughly $1.5 billion is being spent by IRCC for immigrant settlement. Okay, and that leads me to ask this question: isn't employment part of settlement? I mean, it's very hard for you to settle in a country if you're not employed, right? And so you have to ask how many programs contribute to employment directly. And in my life, I speak to a lot of immigrants. I speak to them on LinkedIn. I speak to them on Facebook. I speak to them. Some even call me on myself because I take these calls because they're important. It's important that immigrants know that they can turn to someone. And so this whole journey of mine, as I call it, the ultimate phase is the immigrant networks. This started last year when the pandemic hit in March. And at that point in time, I put out a LinkedIn post saying that if there are any immigrants who want to talk to me and need to connect with someone who can perhaps help them and guide them in their journey, they can connect with me. This was sparked by a report that came out that said almost 1 million immigrants were laid off when the pandemic hit and the first lockdown started. So, we are so used to these numbers, but, let's look beyond those numbers. Let's look at the people. 1 million people. Has anyone ever seen 1 million people in one place? I haven't. But imagine it's not just 1 million. It's 1 million plus. It could be a 1 million, the primary earner. It could be with the spouse. So that immediately goes to 2 million. And it could be children as well. So then it could be 3 to 4 million. That's a lot of people who are now hanging at the edge of the cliff. That's dangerous. That's scary. The human rights is itself so scary. So, that mental health, all those challenges. So what I did was I said, okay, let me start talking to them. So after I put up the post, I was inundated with people. I had to take down the post because it was a little too much. And so I started working. I narrowed it down to 27 individuals. And they were from all over the world, different parts of the world. and different professions. And so as I started speaking to them, I understood the importance of networking, because what I was doing was actually peer-to-peer networking. And I understood that their challenges were challenges which were, I think what they needed was they needed someone to talk to. And so as I started working with them, I understood that what I was actually doing was I was doing peer-to-peer networking. I'm not professionally qualified to help someone get a job. I understand that. If I had to get a job today, I probably would have big challenges. But the fact of the matter is, as I started talking to them, I started seeing that they felt a little more confident. Between 6 to 8 weeks, 26 of the 27 were employed. This is during the pandemic, which is remarkable because these are people, again, from all across the country. But what was remarkable was the fact that they were all able to get jobs, and they were more surprised. I think I was stunned, and they were surprised. And I was dealing with simple things like getting your resume fixed, getting a cover letter fixed. And I had this guy who came from Malaysia, and he's an engineer, a highly skilled guy, and he actually did his engineering in Canada. I went back to Malaysia, lived there for 20 years, and then came back here. And then he came here when the lockdown started. So his cover letter was it was a stream of consciousness. It wasn't even a cover letter. So I had to get people, professionals, to come in and help me do the cover letter. So a lot of people who got involved in that. But we got to keep asking, what is the number one thing that helps? What are the programs that help immigrants get employed? And to me, I'm a simplistic man. I like to put things into numbers. I believe that there are 3 programs that have measurable results with employers: government-funded subsidies, microloans for newcomers to upgrade their skills, and mentorship programs. That's it. These 3 are really measurably qualified that you can turn around and say, someone has got a job because of these programs. And I'll talk to the numbers as we go on. But let's start with the government-funded subsidy. So I mentored many newcomers. There are 2 newcomers that I want to cite today. One has been one has worked in brand management for a large conglomerate before coming to Canada, and after 24 months, he finally got a job. 24 months, imagine. The other guy is 18 months into the country, and so he recently got a $110,000 job. $110,000. Now let's do some math. So if he's been here for a year and a half and is not earning money, that means that he basically lost out on roughly 150,000. If you do the math, and if you take 150,000, roughly again, $50,000 of that would be taxpayers' money. So that would go into the taxpayer coffers. That's the money that goes into the government of Canada, which means that the government of Canada lost $50,000 because that person was unemployed. And the next slide will tell you why I believe that government-funded subsidies is the number one that can help newcomers get jobs, because 86% of them were employed in a full-time job when the wage subsidy was anything from $4,000 to $10,000. Now, if you asked me, and if I was in charge, which would be pretty dangerous, if I was in charge, I would say, hey, let's give out the subsidies, let's get people working so I can get the $50,000 that the government of Canada needs. Why is someone not looking at this? I can't understand that. So 86%. So the way it works, and I've actually applied for funding myself under these subsidy programs. And some of these programs actually have a stipulation that after the funding, which could be anywhere from 3 to 6 months, depending on how you're stretching the money and what's the position that you're hiring for, after that, you have to hire that person for a minimum of 9 months. Yeah, but these work. Some of the people who do a great job of this, number one is our friends at TRIAC, the mentoring partnership. Number 2 is a friend of mine at BioTalent. Rob Henderson. He does a great job. They actually get people jobs through the subsidy program. It's simple, guys. It's not rocket science. If something works, let's do more of that. Second, microloans work. Let's look at windmill statistics. I've known windmills since it was the Immigrant Access Fund out of Alberta. What does it show? Income grows by 3.4 times, because these are microloans that give you up to $15,000 that you can take to upgrade your skills. And then unemployment drops from 42% to 7%. Brilliant. Again, I keep saying, it's not rocket science. It's brilliant in its simplicity. And the third one is mentoring. Skilled mentors who participate in TRIAC are 2.5 times more likely to be in good quality jobs. There's full-time, permanent, with benefits, opportunities for advancement. Almost 4 times more likely to expand their network. Now, we all know, and I hear this from newcomers all the time, I'm applying and I can't get in. And that's why I believe it needs a lot more scalability, especially in the online world. These are my 3. Moving on. Let's talk about the new Canadian. And that's not to make things sound funny, but the fact is that after the point system changed, our immigrant profile, the psychographic demographic profiles changed. Number 1, your earlier point system allowed people to come in up to 55. Up to 55, you could actually apply and come into Canada. Now, your average age is 28 to 36. The number 1 qualification for getting into the country is your language skills. So if no one has done the express entry application, just to get an idea of how it works, I would encourage you to do that, because you'll find that if you do not have a Canadian language benchmark of 7.5, more like 8, your chances of getting into the next stage, talking about your age, all of that doesn't come in, your education doesn't come because you do not meet that. So what's happened? So now you've got someone who is young, who has good language skills, and they are a digital maverick. They're digital first. Everything they want is digital. They don't even consume content in the traditional way that the earlier cohorts did. They're not looking at it and reading articles. They're not interested in it. They're discovering content and information on their phones. That is their livelihood. Their phones are their link. Look at YouTube. Marco, you want to jump in with that comment on YouTube?
Absolutely. When we were chatting yesterday, Nick suggested I do a quick search on YouTube, and the first for newcomers who are vlogging, basically, and the first hit I got was a woman who moved to Toronto, I think 2 years ago, and she's a vlogger, a lifestyle vlogger. She documents her life, and she has a day 1 in Toronto, Canada video that has 961,000 views, and it is simple. I watched about half of it. It's basically literally her waking up in her Airbnb condo and talking about, okay, we're here and here's what we're doing today. She filmed her breakfast with her husband. She filmed them walking down to the bank. They were going to go open a bank accounts. They were going to get SIM cards for their phones and just explore a little bit. And it's her walking around Toronto. And the rest of her videos average about 40 to 60,000 views. And it's basically her sharing her experience as a newcomer with other newcomers, saying, okay, we're here and here's what life is really like. And you know how it's, you may also related kind of videos you may also be interested in. There's other vloggers, 13 things to know before moving to Canada in 2021, 117,000 views. The truth about working in Canada, 361,000 views. Traveling to India in Toronto, Canada, talking about going to Little India, basically, 213,000 views. The cost of living in Canada, 756,000 views. So it's incredible to look at what newcomers themselves are sharing. They're bypassing the typical systems, as Nick mentioned. They are these digital mavericks. It's amazing to see.
Thank you, Marco. And when you look at this, what's remarkable is that who am I going to listen to? If I was sitting back home in India, and if there was someone who is from my city, from Mumbai, who has a vlog on YouTube, I'm going to actually follow that person. If I'm in Lagos, I'm going to follow someone who is from Lagos, who has come and landed over here. So the battle for content has been won by YouTube. I didn't see that coming when I started the Canadian Immigrant magazine, and I don't think anyone has. But imagine the impact this is going to have on stakeholders, immigrant settlement agencies, local immigrant partnerships, other stakeholders, including TRIAC and Windmill that I'm talking about. Your battle for content is now being driven by YouTube.
I want to add something, Nick, as well, because the impetus when people hear this is, okay, we've got to be on YouTube, but how do we go viral like she's gone viral? And the flip side is, first of all, yes, you should be creating videos. In fact, you should be creating multilingual videos because you have multilingual staff. Throw a smartphone in their face, give me an employment tip of the week, easy peasy. But in this case, this person has 94,000 subscribers. And one of the things she writes, she doesn't even have a website she links to in her about section, but she says, if you'd like to collaborate with me or just fancy saying hello, here's my email address. Boom. There's a potential collaboration with a massive audience. And if she thinks you're interesting as a settlement agency, or maybe your program is interesting, maybe she'll do a quick video, 30, 40, 50,000 views of information about your project that you didn't even have to create. So it's also thinking outside of the box that way. Should you be on video? Of course you should. But can you be working with these new influencers? Again, the digital maverick, right? Is she an influencer in the traditional sense of the Indian community in Toronto? Maybe yes, maybe no, but she certainly is one online, and connecting with her can help get your word out that way as well.
And this, Marco, leads to the three things that these vloggers bring in. Number one is they're natural. It's not fake. It's actually natural. So you identify with that person. They're authentic and they're credible. A lot more than someone who's written a 1,000-word article and published it and is waiting for people to read it. No one's going to read that stuff. Sorry, it's not happening. Let's talk about pain points. In a survey that was conducted by SRDC this year, survey of skilled immigrants who previously used employment services, great report, you must check it out. They talked about foreign credential recognition, but they talked about lack of professional networks. And that is what Immigrant Networks does. Immigrant Networks takes newcomers and connects them with someone from their profession. It's the first online platform allowing newcomers, immigrants, and students to network for jobs. It's only for jobs. It's not a social platform. They develop those social relationships, sure. But have you tried as a newcomer to go online onto LinkedIn and try to talk to someone who's in your profession, would you like to connect with them? Doesn't happen. No one's really interested in talking to you. But in 1 year, we've done 4,000 matches, video calls. So when you register at Immigrant Networks, we'll connect you as an HR professional with another HR professional who's been here for a couple of years. And you're going to have these conversations. You're going to have these dynamic conversations. And you're going to learn. We launched pre-arrival webinars. So, you know, we didn't even think that the numbers would go so high, but the numbers just amazed us. We talked about how immigrants should talk to recruiters. And how do they make themselves attractive to recruiters so that they can take their resumes and move on? Yeah, this is important. We also launched our in-house recruiters who have placed in the short period of 2 months, 5 members in great jobs, and 9 of them are in the 3rd stage of interviews. So, you know, so when I talk about getting jobs, I am serious about that. I'm serious about that because that's what has to happen. We cannot keep talking about settlement and talking about jobs as an aftermath. You cannot have settlement without a job. All right, let's talk about the services. So number one is these weekly video calls, we supplement them with closed Zoom learning sessions on Sunday mornings. Yippee! Soft skills, LinkedIn, interview skills, Canadian workplaces, all of that. We've also created a marketplace, and I'll show you some of the stuff that we've done on the marketplace, where newcomers can actually go in and they can get their resume done, they can get their LinkedIn profile done, they can get mentoring, and this is all, it comes with a money-back guarantee, which is amazing. We've got the of course, as I said, the pre-arrival webinars and the in-house recruiters. But look at the figures on the right side of the screen, this allows them to start networking, get word of mouth referrals, connect with peers, get job finding, improve their presentation skills. As they go on, they get jobs because they're now starting to talk online. They're starting to present themselves. They know how they look on video. All of these help. They understand the hidden job market. They build trust with the people whom they're talking to. They create great casual mentorship opportunities and connecting with professionals and even looking at alternative careers and business opportunities. This is this powerful ecosystem that has been created that helps newcomers from the time they come to the country. Marketplace connects you with LinkedIn, resume, cover letter, interview preparation, mentorship, masterclass, small business and immigration services. Very simple. It's not rocket science, and it's not expensive. If you take a look at this stuff, it's easy. And our audience, because they're younger and because they're familiar with credit cards, they like buying with a card. I'm not sure they'd like to travel to a place to go and get services or a speech on LinkedIn. I don't think they'd like to travel. All right, let's talk about what my members said. Thank you. Your posts gave me strength and wisdom. Immigrant Networks continues to introduce me to amazing people along the way each week. So wonderful to share our hard lessons and triumphs with each other. This is peer-to-peer networking at its best. These are the people who have benefited, and every day we have new members coming in. I personally check and verify every member that comes in. I do. It's a lot of work, but I gotta do it. We're now launching the Immigrant Networks Partnership Program, which is for stakeholders, LIPs, ISAs. What we're doing is we are saying add Immigrant Networks to your site, and we'll create a portal of the people who have registered from your site, so you can talk to and you can search that database and you can connect them with local employers as well as employers who our recruiters are connecting them with. This is also your portal for marketing and communications. The second stage of this would be connecting yourself with the local Chamber of Commerce. We'll work with you so that they can come in and they can search for people to get jobs. Simple. Some of the best ideas are actually very simple. We complicate them. What are the advantages? These newcomers are networking with professionals. They're adapting faster. It's all online. They have access to professional services, ebooks. They enter the recruitment pool for jobs. They connect with local employers. Where's the downside? For the partners, we will give you the ability to market pre-arrival through newsletters. We'll give you free access to postings on our Immigrant Networks Facebook page, and you'll have a LinkedIn on our homepage saying that you are we are proud partners with you. This is so that we all start working together. It's not one or two. We've already we started this. We've been playing around with it for a while, and then I said, okay, this is the right time, because when you're 1 year old, you have to do something different. So that is what I wanted to talk about.